Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So far we have discussed something about the chemical formula and its types. Basically, a chemical formula is of two types. The empirical formula or simple formula. The second one is the molecular formula or actual formula. These two formula represent the same compound. Chemical formula is also known as simple formula. And molecular formula or actual formula. So what is the difference between the two formula? For example, compound that has benzene is the compound. So we can write two formula for this compound. This compound can be represented by two formulas. The one is a simple formula or empirical formula that is CH. And the second formula of this compound is a C6H6. Both are the formula of same compounds, but the one thing is common on both the formula, that is this formula that shows the number of atoms and simplest possible numbers of the compounds. And this formula that shows the number, that is actual number of atoms. Both formula shows the chemical composition of the same compounds. This formula that shows the chemical composition, that is benzene is consisting of carbon and hydrogen. This formula also that is shows the chemical composition, that is benzene is consisting of carbon and hydrogen. This one thing is common in both formulas. Both formulas show the chemical composition. Is it clear? But the difference between the two formulas, this formula here, carbon atom as 1, hydrogen atom as 1. Here, carbon atom as 6, hydrogen atom as 6. Or this formula, this formula is based on actual molecules. It not only shows the chemical composition, but also shows the actual number of atoms of the element present in a compound. And this formula that shows only the chemical composition of benzene, that is consisting of carbon and hydrogen. The other different dates shows and give the number of atoms and simplest whole number atoms. But this formula that shows the actual number of atoms of the carbon and hydrogen present in a compound. So, the formula that shows the number of atoms and simplest whole number ratio is known as empirical formula. The formula which is based on actual molecule is known as molecular formula. The formula which gives the numbers of atoms present in a compound, simplest whole number item. The formula which is based on actual molecule is called molecular formula. It shows the actual numbers of the atoms of the elements present in a compound. That is called the molecular formula. Now, the one thing is common in both formula. Both formula shows the chemical compositions. Formula that shows the chemical composition as well as the actual number of atoms of the element present in a compound is known as molecular formula. It is based on actual molecule. While the formula which is shows only, it gives only the chemical composition but does not show the actual number of the atom of the element, but shows the number of atom and smallest possible number. That is in simplest whole number ratio, that is called the empirical or simple formula. A molecular formula that is a simple multiple of the empirical formula. If we multiply the empirical formula by a numbers, so we can get the molecular formula. The relationship between the molecular and empirical formula. What is the relationship between the molecular and empirical formula? Molecular formula of a compound as a simple multiple of the empirical formula of that compound. मॉलिक्यूलरी फार्मूला किसी कंपाउंड के मॉलिक्यूलरी फार्मूला इस कंपाउंड के सादे फार्मूले का सादा मज़ायक होता है। बात समझ में आती है? कंपाउंड के दो फार्मूले हैं, एक ये है CH, ये एम्पिरिकल फार्मूला है बेंजीन का, इज इट क्लियर? और ये इसका है C6H6, ये इसका मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला है। तो हम कहते हैं कि दिस मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला, दैट इज द मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला is a sample molecule of the empirical फार्मूला। अब किसी भी मुरक्कब के सिंपल फार्मूले को किसी अदद में ज़रब देंगे तो उससे उस कंपाउंड का मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला बनता है। इसके दरमियान एक रिलेशनशिप लाइक दिस वन, इस नंबर को मैं किस में ज़रब दूं कि इससे ये फार्मूला बनता है। If we multiply this formula by 6, we can get this formula. See 6H6. Now, if we divide this formula by a number, the same number, so this formula C6H6, if we divide this formula by 6, so we can get the empirical formula of this compound. That is the exact relationship between the two formulas. The molecular formula is a simple multiple of the empirical formula of a compound, while empirical formula is a divisible of the molecular formula of that compound. If the two formula give the same relationships of, so we can write or we can represent a compound by two formula. If there is no exact relationship between the two formula in a compound, so we can write a compound by two identical formula. वाटर कंपाउंड है, इसका फार्मूला है H2. So we write both formula identical for the water because there is no exact relationship between the two formula. Say that molecular formula is a simple multiple of the empirical formula, and empirical formula is divisible of the molecular formula. ये कंपाउंड है, इसके हम इसके अगर हम दो फार्मूले देखें, एक है हमारे पास ये केमिकल कंपोजिशन, इसका क्या है हाइड्रोजन और ऑक्सीजन। ये पानी का केमिकल कंपोजिशन हाइड्रोजन है और ऑक्सीजन है। अगर इसका हम मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला U लिखते हैं वाला, ये तो इसका फार्मूला है H2O। इस फार्मूले को वन मेजर से पानी का फार्मूला आता है। मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला ऐसा होना चाहिए कि ये इस फार्मूले का एक सादा मज़ायक हो, मतलब ये कि अगर हम इस फार्मूला को किसी अदद में ज़रब दें और इससे ये मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला बन जाए। अब देखिए, अगर मैं इसको 2 में ज़रब दूं, इससे क्या बनता है? इससे ही फार्मूला बनता है? नहीं बनता है, इससे ये फार्मूला बनता है H2O2, जो कि हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड का फार्मूला है। Now this formula does not represent the molecular formula of water. This is the formula of hydrogen peroxide. This is not the actual relationship between the molecular and empirical formula. Now, अगर मैं इस फार्मूला को किसी अदद पर डिवाइड करूं 2 पर, तो इससे HO तो आता है, but the empirical formula of the water. So there is no exact relationship between the two formula. So we write down two formula identical of the water. It means that you can write two formula for a compound, the empirical molecular formula, but those compound we can represent by two formula if there is an exact relationship between the two formulas. What is the relationship of? Molecular formula are the simple multiple of the empirical formula, and empirical formula are the divisible of the molecular formula. So if a compounds a formula that give the exact relationship between the molecular and empirical formula, we will write both formula identical for a compound, just like the water. Is it clear? Thank you.